As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by YouTube's 10-minute time limit, let's quickly take a look at a character like Bakura. He's psychotic, he's evil, and his endgame is to rule the world. But why does he choose to make himself a bad guy? Because his entire family was slaughtered mercilessly before his eyes. I mean, it wasn't exactly Saint Bakura to begin with, but that would mess up pretty much anybody. But Marik? Nothing bad happened to him. Well, nothing bad happened to the evil half of him and not the... It's kind of complicated. But the point is, the bad Marik, this guy, didn't even exist long enough for anything bad to happen to him. He's not some tragic soul, he's just evil. Even if you look at a character like Majin Buu in his pure form, sure, he may be pure evil, quote-unquote, but he doesn't even have a conscience. He's just like a force of nature. Dark Marik is intelligent, has a conscience, and has nothing to gain by being evil, but he still sets about and does the most terrible things he can think of. And he can think of a lot of terrible things, trust me. People like Hitler, Mussolini, Captain Hook, all either thought they were doing the right thing or at least got some kind of guilty pleasure out of it. Dark Marik is just evil for evil's sake. He's probably the closest character to Satan since... Satan. All in all, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has some good heroes, but some really great villains. As for the story, I really can't say much. To start to delve into the plot is to reveal all of the plot twists. The only real problem with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Story is it doesn't really begin until almost the Battle City Finals. All the stuff that happens before that is important, mostly character specific, but it doesn't drive the plot forward. Once it gets to the Battle City Finals, though, the story goes a mile a minute. Luckily, it's not hard to follow. Well, it is in the 4Kids version. See what they... Right. I will say this. Volume 3 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World is probably the best manga anywhere. It depicts the high-speed battle between Slifer the Sky Dragon and Bakura's godly spirit beast Diabound. The fight goes from the palace to the Imperial City, with the Great Pharaoh chasing the thief Bakura on horseback. This single volume of manga is so fast-paced and exciting, I couldn't put it down until I finished it. And the cliffhanger was one of the greatest. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a great story with a great plot, and it sometimes even almost reads like a horror story. Interestingly enough, that was actually Kazuki Takahashi's original idea for the series. The thing that surprises me all the time is that Takahashi was making it up as he went along. The original story was very different from the one that we have now. But what surprises me even more is how well the story meshes itself together. There's one particular scene that comes from volume, I believe, 3, and doesn't show up again as important until the second to last volume in the 30-something volume series. And the moment where you realize that one little thing that happened way in the beginning means everything, to me, it was so great. And there are a lot of moments like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'll tell you one thing. Probably the best moment in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was also the saddest. The ending almost made me cry. Oh, shut up, you. No, but seriously, it is really touching, it's really heartwarming. And at the same time, it's really tragic. And all those emotions culminate in that one moment. You just gotta read it. You gotta read it. So, let's take a look back on what we learned here today, kiddies. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an exciting and fun adventure story, despite 4Kids' best efforts. If you love deep stories, epic clashes, and some great heroes and villains, then Yu-Gi-Oh! Is definitely a manga worth picking up. However, even the Japanese version of the anime is weaker at best. If Yu-Gi-Oh's tragic story tells us anything, it's that the original is always the best. Ah, shut up.